So I asked in the community, what would you like to see from my leopard geckos? And a few of you said, I just want to see them, or even watch them just eat. So that's what we're going to do. So I thought we'd make this a little more interesting. I figured I'd let my reptiles hunt down their food on the reptile room floor. My reptile room isn't that big, so there isn't too far for them to escape. However, if you're going to do this yourself, here are some tips. Number one, if there's anywhere that your gecko can escape, try to cover it up, or just corner off a section of the room where you know they can't run away under any tanks or between furniture. Number two, there's a very good chance, especially if you have a new gecko or a young gecko, but this can even happen with adults and it may even happen with my own, is leopard geckos can sometimes get spooked in a wide open areas. So if your gecko starts to wag its tail or suddenly scoots off, that's kind of to be expected. And if that does happen and you don't feel safe having a gecko out, put it back in the tank and we'll do it like that. There's a good chance that will happen with my geckos, even though they are super used to me, but the open area can be a bit of a spook. But anyway, let's see the geckos. Whilst I'm here picking up the morio worms and dusting them, you can keep an eye on Diego for me. He's just here. And now I'm going to open this box up. I wonder if he's going to start looking. But I think we're going to have probably 3 morio worms. Now, if you didn't know, morio worms, they're a treat, okay? So you want to maybe give up to 3 every maybe 2 or 3 weeks. It's not a frequent food, it's not the healthiest, but they can have it. If you have a baby or juvenile leopard gecko, you might want to avoid them. They've got quite a strong bite on them. They're quite strong worms. So I'd leave these to the older juveniles or adults. So now it's time to release Diego. Now I am going to plop him down here because the drop from his tank is about 1 foot, and though I'm sure he'll be able to flop from there, I don't want him to. So let's put down our first, oh my goodness, he's on it already. Our first morio worm. Oh. Now, as long as you keep this area clean, what I like to do with all of my reptiles, even though I've had them years, there's no sign of illness or anything like that, I always wash my hands between handling reptiles. And where are you off? Diego, come back. And I'm going to clean the surface after Diego's out. So when Maui comes out, he doesn't smell Diego, who is obviously another male, could be a threat. Diego! And also, if on the off chance, which I don't think it is, you don't want any cross-contamination. Now Diego's doing the typical leopard gecko thing here of open space equals danger, which is totally fair and normal. Diego? See, he's a little bit confused. I don't know if the microphone picked up his little clicks there, but it's quite interesting. Obviously Diego's not used to this wide of an area to hunt in, so this can be quite intimidating for him, and he is not enjoying it anymore. He wants to get back, so let's pop him back in his tank. To be honest, I'm not sure if the clicking is annoyance or just curiosity. I know when my blue-tongued skink explores, he sometimes will make a sound like a little clicking sound, but for Diego there, he was a bit like, this is way too open, let me go back to my hide. But this is why I thought it'd be good to do this video, because if you do this yourself and you're like, why is my gecko freaking out? I mean, Diego wasn't really freaking out, that would be his tail going, which I think we might see with Maui. But at least you know it's normal, it's okay. Diego, do you still want your worms? Yes, of course he still wants his worms. There you go, much more comfortable. And this is why in your tank, it's okay to be a bit cluttered. Actually, leopard geckos do better. If you're noticing your gecko is kind of on edge in their tank, it could be that there's not enough places for it to hide, or it's feeling overexposed. So you see the difference there? When he was out of the tank, maybe he didn't feel so comfortable. He didn't want to eat. Now he's back in there, he feels a lot better, and he's straight back to eating. So that's great to see. Next up, we're going to get Maui out, and Maui's pretty confident he will come to the front of the tank if he thinks there's food, so that's great. If you've just got your gecko and you're like, why is my gecko not doing this? Trust me, Maui hasn't always been like this. Maui, I have documented since he was a baby. He actually has his own playlist that you can check out called Baby Leopard Gecko, so you can see how that's developed over time. But food is a great motivator, and of course he knows it's food time. Now, Maui is a bit more easily spooked than Diego, so there's a good chance he might run off. However, he has fantastic eyesight, so I feel like, oh my goodness, where are you going? I feel like if he knows there's food, he's gonna find it. So let me just pop you back here, Mal. Maui, do you know there's food? I don't know, why are you coming towards me? Do you know there's food? Here, there's food in there. This is actually quite positive from Maui. I expected him to run off. So, let's get him another one. Now this is where I keep all my morio worms. It's a mix of earth mix arid and then the sort of substrate they come in anyway. Unfortunately, and I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I'm becoming more and more allergic to morio worms, which is a bit of a pain. I should probably wear gloves when feeding them to my geckos. But here we go, Maui has spotted the morio worm. Now another way that you might accidentally spook your gecko when it's out is if you're totally quiet, then suddenly make a sound or a move. So something I've always done with all my geckos is make the sound. And even when the geckos get spooked, if they hear that, they settle down. Maui's off. Bye. Maui! Mau, do you want to go home now? Okay, he's off, come on. That's totally fine. Once again, I wouldn't consider that like him freaking out. That would be if his tail starts to swirl. They can even jump quite far when they're really spooked. To me, that's just like, okay, I've had enough, I want to go back in my tank now. So that's all good. So, before we begin, if you're new to this channel, what you might not know about Minnie is she's 17 years old, okay? So she's gonna, you wouldn't think it, would you? She's very fast, but she has shown her age a lot now, so she is a little frail, a little skinny, even though she eats more than the boys completely. Dodgy eye since birth, as you can probably tell. She's fine. She probably doesn't look fantastic because she's so old. She also just shed, and I've just noticed there's a bit of skin on her toes, which I will get off. But just a disclaimer about Minnie. She's a little old lady. Now, as I said, Minnie gets more than the boys. She gets fed more often, partly because she is older and she's not holding her weight as well as she would in her prime. She's still like her normal weight range, but she does get more food than the boys. And she is still quite a good hunter despite her eye disability and her age. Sorry, there's a little hair on the floor, which my dogs aren't allowed in the reptile room, but somehow their hair gets in here. Now you can see front on the issues she probably has with her vision because of this eye. Now this is something that's just kind of a birth defect slash hatch defect slash a slight change in the incubator can cause a slight deformity like this. So it has been checked by the vet over the years and it's absolutely fine, nothing to be done to it. But her vision's probably a bit off. And if you wear contact lenses, I imagine it's like having one contact lens in and one out. You know, your vision's just a little bit off. But I'm going to help her out. She can aim for the finger if she wishes. It doesn't hurt too much. What I sometimes do though, is I might hold it up for her. Oh god, no, she got the finger. She got the finger. Okay, Minnie, release please. Okay, she thinks she's got a giant worm. Now, if this happens to you, don't freak out. Just lift the gecko up. There you go, and she releases it. Now maybe aim for the worm. There we go, I'll hold it for you. Here you go, Minnie. You see this? There you go, that's it. Sometimes she needs a bit of assistance, and that's fine. Should we get another one? Let's dust that. Now the dusting, I'm using Earth Pro A. I do use all the Earth Pro supplements along with UV. And if you want a lighting and supplementing guide as to what I do, then I will link that below and at the end of this video. So, oh. Here we go. There you go. Oh, it wasn't in focus, Minnie, I'm sorry. There you go. There you go. Now one thing you might notice, I tend to hold the head a little bit longer, for Minnie in particular. This is just so the worm can't swing round and catch her in the eye. But out of all three of them, Minnie was the one that lasted all the worms outside the tank. So while Maui figures out how to get that morio worm, I hope this has been a bit of an interesting feeding video. Do you do anything like this with your geckos, or do you keep it just in the tank, which is fair enough? That is a safe place after all. As I said, if you do this, just do it with caution. Make sure there's no cats and dogs about, anywhere your gecko can escape to, and if they get spooked, put them away. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.